on, everybody? It is Rod with the Black Connect, and I am here with Cutz by Shon. And today we are at Cut Doctors, located right on the southeast side of DeKalb County. We're highlighting Black-owned businesses, and this is one of my favorite. You're gonna get an exclusive cut. We're gonna talk about Shon's journey as to how he became the man he is today, his struggles and learning lessons within the barber community. So let's get connected. Can you tell me about the first time you picked up a pair of clippers? Like, how old were you? And what was the reason behind that?
I was about 14, and I had a lot of people I looked up to, mentor-wise. And a lot of the people I saw doing good for themselves were barbers. So my mentor, actually, I wouldn't say it was a mentor, it was somebody I looked up to.
Yeah.
I seen he drove a motorcycle, he had a nice car, things like that. Took care of his family. So for me, I figured that's something I can do growing up. I didn't start there though. I just watched him. And my sophomore year in high school, I was in a program called DECA. And in the program, you had to make a business plan based off of something that you wanted to do when you got older. Career. So barbering was mine. I made a business plan, and out of all the grades, my business plan won. So once you win, they buy your first set of clippers and everything that you need. So from there, that's when I kind of took it serious.
Cool. So you just always knew that barbering was gonna be what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was always what I wanted to do, because like everybody else, I had, football dreams, so NFL dreams. But barbering was always my plan B. My mother always told me to have, plan B, something to fall back on.
Okay, cool. So walk me through the process of barber school. What was that whole experience like? Because for me personally, a lot of y'all don't know, but I myself have attended barber school, and even though it isn't college, the standard college, you have to be there every single day getting those hours, and if you miss a day, it's cut. So walk me through that journey of what it was like from the first day you started up until when you got your actual license.
So really, I would say it was a rude awakening, because in my mind, barbering was just cutting hair. I didn't know you had to learn chemistry and anatomy and stuff like that. So school wasn't, one of my strengths. I only went to school to be able to do football.
Right.
So I thought coming home, I was gonna get my barber license, and that was it. So going to school, I want to say it built a different type of character out of me. I was always, I thought everything could get done by, my hands. I'm good with my hands. So I thought, I wouldn't have to go to school and do no paperwork. But there was a lot to it. So especially when it comes to going every day, I was trying to work. I ain't had no money. I had just came home from college. So that was like my last chance. That was like if this don't work, nothing works type of deal.
Gotcha. From when you first got into barber school up until now, the game has changed completely. You're not doing $10 cuts anymore, so the game has changed altogether. And what advice would you give to a new student going into the game, as well as an old head barber who's been in the game for years?
For all the newbies, I would say definitely know your worth.
Right.
Getting out of barber school, haircuts was $20, $25. So, but a lot of people still charge me. But I invested everything into barbering. So I knew me paying $19,000 $500 going to barber school, I wasn't going to charge $25, $15 for a haircut.
How much was the price of barber school?
$19,500.
You hear that, folks? $19,500. Just to make me go from zero to hero, man. That's crazy. With barbering, I know you're on your feet between 8 to 12 hours a day, and I'm curious as to what keeps you motivated throughout this whole entire process, because I know you deal with canceled appointments, people who aren't necessarily happy about their haircut, very specific haircut. So what keeps you motivated through that?
I would say what got me started in the first place. So for me, this going into barbering, was my plan B. So I always felt like my plan B was my gotta make it, or it's just my last chance. So failing for me is not an option. So it's just an amount of having patience. You gotta have patience to be in a barber game. You're gonna deal with people who you're not, just a friend of. Everybody who's your client is not gonna be your friend. So, but you gotta do any means necessary in my eyes to bring the check home. So you gotta make certain sacrifices. Even though people complain, You got to deal with stuff like that. All money ain't good money, but at the end of the day, it's all about what you can put up with. People just got different ways of putting up with things. But standing on your feet, I feel like it's all a mental thing. Cause I work out, try to get a workout in 2 or 3 days a week. But other than that, it's mental. If you know why you're doing it, you want to do it.
Gotcha. Oh, that's real, man. So with the pandemic, how did that affect you?
Well, that's interesting because I won't say I never stopped cutting, but there was a point in time where I did transition from barbershop to home. So I set up a home station at my house. So I bought a barber chair, put it in my garage, built the station, put a mirror up, and I stay about 45 minutes to an hour from where I work. But I had majority of my clientele driving out to my house. So it never really slowed down, it actually picked up.
Gotcha.
So the pandemic kind of was a stride forward instead of a stride backwards for me. Because without haircuts, a haircut is more so mental than it is to your physical attributes. Because you want to look good, but it's also going to make you feel good too. So I feel like it was essential during that time.
What would you say is your favorite part about cutting your hair?
The people, the interaction, the one-on-one. Like, so for me, I was doing motivational speaking. I was probably 19 when I started. So I would get real bad anxiety talking to a room full of people. But when it came to motivating one person at a time, and sitting in a chair, it was different. So I feel like it's a different ball game. You can sit down and talk to someone and change their day or change how they're feeling and change the way they look at the same time.
Gotcha. So you still get to do the motivational speaking, but just on a different platform.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. So with your motivational speaking, tell me a little bit more about that.
Also coming home from school, I went to college playing football, and when I came home, it was like a very low point in my life. But I talked to a lot of people around, so for a long time, football defined who I was. So people only knew me from football. And it happens to a lot of people. A lot of young men who come home and football was their only dream, and they had nowhere to, that was all they thought of. I was always a leader when it came to it. So I felt like I could lead myself into a different direction, and that's what essentially what happened. So I went back to school, tried for another semester, and my counselor, she told me I had the voice for it, and she gave me my first gig. So she got me a connection with the board, and I had a chance of speaking at a GED graduation ceremony.
Oh wow!
And that was my first gig, so I got to talk to them and motivate them. And I did better than what I thought I did when I started getting people contacting me about doing it again and stuff like that. And when I got home, I guess that's when I took off from there. But the one thing about motivating people is you gotta talk to people like they don't know anything.
Yeah.
But everybody got their own answers.
Yeah, you also gotta stay motivated, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. So it went from motivational speaking to impactful speaking. Because you can motivate somebody for 2 seconds to do something, but to impact somebody for the rest of your life is a hard part.
When I had hair, you were doing my undercuts, and now we have transitioned into making me the sexy god that I am today. So when you deal with different customers who come in and want to make those life-changing cuts, do you question them? Do you talk them through? Like, what is that process for you when you're dealing with people who are like, I'm shaving my head today, bro. Like, let's get it. Or I want to do, because honestly, before we did this cut, I was thinking about shaving my head bald, giving me the Shaq look.
Yeah.
Women like the bald things these days, so,
So for me, it was different. So for me, I don't give advice unless you ask.
Gotcha.
So unless you ask me that, what do you think question, I won't give my advice. So if you come in and say, I want to do this and do that, I say, oh, okay, you can do that. But unless you say, what do you think, I'm going to give you my honest opinion. I'm going to tell you what I think about it. All hairstyles don't fit on all people. You can't show me a picture and expect this haircut because that's not you in that picture. So it's going to turn out a different way. But if you ask me, what do you think, I'm definitely going to tell you.
That's real. So what do you think about my Shaq look? If I was to go bald right now, like if I tell you cut the clippers off, give me the ball, give me the alcohol rub down hot towel on the head, where are we going with this? How do you feel about that? Because look at my head shape.
I would say don't do it, it's cold outside.
Because it's cold outside. Yeah. That's a safe answer, I appreciate that. Ooh. All right, man. So we walked through your journey of how you started. We see where you are right now. Talk to us about what's next.
So right now, I'm filling everything out. There's a pandemic going on. I was leading strong towards, opening my own shop by the time I turned 24 and stuff like that. I gave everything a time limit. But then you got, pandemics to come around and the whole life can be shifted upside down.
You're right.
So right now I'm playing it out and seeing, my best avenue. So I want to go from doing my own shop to maybe opening up my own school.
Okay.
I feel like that would be a safer way to go. Because school, you essentially get paid up front. People paying tuition and stuff like that. With a barbershop, if another pandemic come around, your barber's not working, it'll be very hard to, pay the bill and get things paid. So I feel like that would be a better avenue to take when it comes to business-wise. So that's my main goal right now, is to get my own business running. And even though you are your own business inside of a booth rental shop, but I feel like you haven't really done it until you put your name on something.
Right. So now that you've seen life before the pandemic and we're hoping to see life after the pandemic, what would you say is the name of the game for barbering? Because we saw when they closed the shops, we saw when they opened the shops, but it was a certain number of people who can be in there at a time. How do you think that that's going to change the culture of beauty and barber altogether?
For me, I feel like it's hard to change it because the foundation is very strong. The barber game is built off of love. You come to the barbershop and you sit in the barbershop, even it's a line to come and talk to the people you want to come talk to. So like you go to a certain stylist because you like the conversation with that stylist. I have clients who drive 50 minutes to an hour and a half to come get a haircut. It's not because of it. I would say that the skill has a lot to do with it, but it also has a lot to do with the relationship. So as long as that relationship in the game is still the same, I don't think it does change.
Gotcha. And my final question to you, man, is if you had to say anything to your current clients and future clients, what is it?
I would say that it's about the haircut, but it's not about the haircut. It's about the service. People get the barber game mistaken. They think it's a hustle when it's not. It's a profession. And so it's about the love and the relationship. I learned that being in the barber game, it's about showing love. When you show love to people, they show love back to you. That's how the clientele is built. So for future clients, I feel like you're wasting your money if you're not building a relationship with somebody. You want to spend money with people you feel like deserve your money. I don't go nowhere and my money don't feel deserved. So I feel like you don't get a service when your money is deserved.
All right, man. So we've seen your history as far as you doing the motivational speeches. So are you into any community service at all, or because we see a lot of barbers giving back? So what's your way of giving back, or what are some ways that you use barbering and community at once?
So right now, 2 days out of the week, so Mondays and Wednesdays, I cut hair for a few different juvenile systems.
Okay.
And I would say it's community service based off of me taking the time out to go there, but in actuality, I do get paid for it. But in a sense, it benefits me and benefits him.
Right.
Because you have a lot of young men in the juvenile system who I won't say deserves to be there, but it's not that their actions really put them there. It's their circumstances that did. Under the circumstances of the house that they grew up in and the type of parents they was raised up under. Everything has its own cause and effects. So it's good to talk to, you can have a conversation with somebody, or a kid, 14, 15 years old, who about to do 5 to 10 years. And you can have a conversation with him and he'll be the most kind gentleman you ever met. Because young people who are doing something that they like, even with school, kids gonna like the subjects that they're gonna do good in the subjects that they like.
Right. So
everybody like haircuts. So when you sit down with your barber, you can express your feelings and you can talk about a lot of stuff. So with them, I feel like they'll share something that they might not share with a counselor or share with a parent or something like that. So they open up to you. So you would have never thought this tough kid had that type of emotion, but he just was under his circumstances, the way he lived, the way he was raised. He had to make the decision that he made. It's always about, for me, I don't have any kids, but I would love to talk to them and see where their parents went wrong. How did they end up in that situation? And that's what you learn when you see people going through stuff in life, and you realize that what's going on in your life ain't too bad. I didn't have to bump my head too many times to get on track. Because I've seen a lot of people around me about their heads. You didn't have to tell me the stove was hot. Because I've seen somebody get burnt on the stove before. So it's just different.
And there you have it, folks. You see the cut, you heard the conversation. We are getting y'all connected to top and quality business owners, people who are cutting hair, doing photography, whatever you need, it's right here at the Black Connect. Shon, you can go ahead and tell the people where they can find you. What's the Instagram? Give them all the information.
Gotcha. So my Instagram is _Cutz by Shon. It's Cutz with a Z. And Shon, SHON. And all my booking information is in my bio. So just hit the link, tap in.
You heard it, man. Let's get connected.